Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you. Let me give some examples. Whenever you create an earning or even a deduction, we must define a calculation which is mandatory. Example: scroll to the earning. Here we have a different calculation. Based on the calculation you have defined and the logic within that calculation, Workday will process the payroll. The calculation we can utilize here or in Workday Payroll. We can also define a calculation as an eligibility. To know more about Workday delivered calculation, we do have a task. Just a second. We do have a task, not this. Run this report, all calculation. Here you have category. Which calculation would like to view, payroll, absence, etc. I want to know what our payroll calculation are configured, are available from Workday or custom. Custom is the one we are going to create Workday. What does the customer mean? What is the customer there mean? Custom specific calculations which we create. It says customer. They will say customer, but it is custom calculations because, for example, let's say you are my customer and I'm implementing Workday for you. And you told you have some requirement. And then I notice some custom calculations are required. I will create those calculations that will fall under customer calculations. Workday calculation means Workday owned calculations, Workday delivered calculations. Let's select. Now you can see the list of Workday calculations derived from Workday. I hope you have access. $82925. If there's something there, if you need something that's not there, I would be surprised. That's all. Workday has given a number of calculations and also they will give a comment here to understand what is this calculation. A simple comment. Always when you got a requirement, always try to go with Workday delivered calculations because the calculations are accurate, but some requirements you may require. You may have to go with custom calculations. That we will learn in today's session, but this is a report where you can access all Workday calculations. Then can you remember this report? Custom calculations means the calculations customer create. I mean a customer specific requirement we created. Example select. People might be practicing in this. You can see few. It's bringing all. Someone has categorized these are all absence related difference. Someone has categorized the absence payroll. That's why it's brought to us. It's absence related. Let me see, is there any specific payroll someone created or not? It will bring absence also, I think. Now see all our absence calculations. Mostly people are tagged to payroll also. Some requirements we can. Based on the requirements, we can get this custom collection you cannot find here because everything is absence. These are all payroll calculations. Someone has copied or created France or Sector 75. Now in this session, we'll try to understand what are these calculations. Example, if you select here, you can see bill date conditional constant value, date extra date difference. Arithmetic aggregate. These are all custom calculations. We are going to learn these calculations in today's session. And then I will present a custom requirement. I'm quickly repeating again. When you create an earning or deduction under the eligibility section or in the calculation, we need to define calculation, either delivered one or custom one. Let's spend some time to understand what are all custom calculations we have. Arithmetic calculation. Second, one conditional calculation. Third, one lookup calculation. Fourth one, a constant value calculation. Fifth, one date difference calculation. Sixth, one date extra calculation. And then the most important one. Arithmetic. I'm sorry, it's repeated aggregate. Arithmetic conditional lookup, constant date difference date extra. Oh my god, the most important one, logic. These are 10 calculations we're going to learn, but in payroll, most often, we will use only few calculations. I'm going to highlight those. There are the calculations which are highlighted with asterisk. We'll often use more in Workday Payroll. Now let's see what are these calculations, which scenarios we will use these calculations, etc. First one, arithmetic calculations. What is arithmetic calculation? If you would like to calculate something like food, like to calculate our addition, you mean like something like you want to do to minus, division, multiplication, addition. For this, arithmetic calculation is required. What are these? Minus, division, multiply or addition. See this example. We have a requirement and how early we age. How early we age requirement is simple. Number of hours. Number of hours working. Work by the employee. Based on that, number of hours multiplied by. What is mean by that? Rate is nothing but per hour.
How much the employee should get? Assume employee should get $50 per hour. Multiplied by how many hours the employee working? 40 hours in a week. Without any US dollars per week. If you have these requirements, you can use arithmetic calculations, multiplications, divisions, abstractions, additions, etc. Commonly we will use for hourly wage or overtime. We will use this. Any questions here? And arithmetic. Now 50 is nothing but rate. To make it simple, rate is $50 per hour. The total number of hours worked by the employee is 40. Now I have these two values. This value is from compensation. This value is from time tracking. Now I want to calculate in the payroll. I need a formula here. What is my formula? My formula will be rate multiplied by number of hours. Rate is nothing but $50 multiplied by the number of hours worked by an employee, 40 total, $2,000. For this kind, if you have such requirements, we can use this option. Now let's move on to another one. Conditional calculation. Most important in absence, also often will use this one. Let's discuss few examples. Assume a customer has a requirement. They want to process a shift payment. Something like if any employee change shift 1. Shift pay is 0 if any employee change shift. Short form shift 2. Let's say $5 you want to pay. If any employee shift 3, you want to process $10. Some kind of allowance you want to give per day. But the SFT like -1 is the shift number. No, it's. Let me do equal to. Sorry for the confusions. If any employee is in shift 1, he will get shift 1. He'll get 0, no allowance. If any employee shift to $5, we will pay any employees for a shift 3 $10. We will make it simple. Conditional calculations are required for if statement. Conditional calculation is required for if statement. The same example. Let me change another way. Company wants to pay certain office setup allowance. Because this COVID pandemic everyone, we are all working from home. Now a company wants to give certain allowance based on the work location. If employee working in Chicago, they want to give a one-time allowance. They want to pay a one-time allowance for US dollars. If an employee working in New York, they would like to pay $750 US. If an employee working in Boston, they want to pay $600. Based on the work location of the employee, they would like to pay certain amount. Here, whenever you will get if statement, if employee working in Chicago, if employee working in New York, if employee working in Boston. Such requirements, you need conditional calculation. Any questions here? Then move on to the lookup calculation. These are simple and straightforward. Lookup calculation when it is required. Again, taking the same example, something different. If employee complete 3 years of service, company wants to pay $1,000 as a senior allowance. If employee complete 5 years of service, company wants to pay $2,000. If employee completes 7 years of service, company would like to give a one-time payment of $3,000. At this requirement, we need lookup calculation. A point to remember, the same requirement I can achieve with conditional calculation also. Same requirement I can achieve with conditional calculation as well. Calculations are not like only for this requirement. Calculations can be used, utilized for different requirements. One more point, when you're working on calculation, mostly we need patience. That is why I'm saying that word is conditional calculation until you will test the earning and deduction. If it is working, we cannot conclude it's working as expected. You will do a vigorous test first because you're going to show the output on the base loop. Hit and try kind of things, especially this calculation. Any questions? My man, look up. It's going to look up the years of service, and then if they're going to do a calculation, a conditional calculation. Books. Lookup works. Conditional works. Let me do one thing. I'll show this requirement for your understanding how it looks. I'll achieve this requirement with lookup. I'll achieve this requirement with conditional. You guys, please tell me which one is easy. I'll go with lookup first. Lookup tables. Now see it. Username. I got there. I said calculate the required for payroll, calculation required for absence, required for compensation. But our requirement is paid. 2,000, 3,000, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. Add 3 rows. Such value if employee completed 3 years. The value $1,000. If employee complete 5 years, 2 years. If employee complete 7 years, $3,000. We have created a lookup table. Then copy this of calculation. Assign the value, the one we created. Here search for 1. I have my logic here. How many years? How much amount? And based on what I'm paying, what we're processing, this amount is my credit. For couriers of service, same requirement. I'm going to achieve in another way with conditional calculation. Now you please tell me which one is feasible and easy. Don't worry. This just for heads up how the logic looks. Same requirement. I'm proceeding with conditional calculation. Order it. Condition. Agree. Instance value. I had to find the count. What is the result? In US dollars. Like that. We have to create for BC and result. Same requirement I achieved with 2 different calculations. Which one is easy? We look up a conditional. Look up a conditional. Look, lookup is correct. Lookup is straightforward. Just to put here conditional inside, conditional like an instance value on top of the result and constant value process. We have to think which calculation is quick and fast. It will take a little time to understand this requirement. As I mentioned, calipers are never be constant. You can achieve the requirement with different types of calculations. Let's continue our discussion on different calculations. Constant value calculation. Just now I selected 1000. For example, whenever I'm selecting some amount or if you're looking for some date, I'll try looking for some numeric, and if it is not available, I can create a constant value. I can create a constant value. Date difference means it's a kind of, let's say you want to process a benefit deduction for the dependent age greater than equal to 55. From where you have to fetch the value, whether how to validate the employee is 55. You have to go on. First hit the employee dependence data. And as of today, what is the employee dependent years? If the years are greater than equal to 55, then the deduction needs to be happened. Such requirements, we can use date differences. Date. The name is specifying date differences, something that can be used to return a dependent age based on the current calendar end date minus dependent date of birth. Is there in the book. If Ingrid logic. Here I want to extract the employee. I want the dependent age when I'm extracting and validating with 55 numeric P5, my constant value. I have to write a date difference. Calculation is going to fetch as of today. What is the age of this employee? As of this year. What is the age of this employee? From where it is going to bring from dependent personal information. Just a second. Now see, here we have age. I want to know whose out dependency. Age is greater than 55. In order to get this information we will maintain a field in the dependence, that is dependent age. Or calculation as of this year from the data, but it will calculate. And if the age is 55 and above, then the direction will process. If you have such requirements, then the date difference calculation is required. Anyone have any questions? Let me know if this is confusing. We have this requirement. Don't worry. We want to create in our custom calculation. Then date extract. Calculation is simple. We have extracted date, employee hire date. If employee hire date is greater than as of today, the employee hire date is greater than equal to 3 years. Then you want to do some amount as an allowance, something like that. Here you can have to extract that date. It can be employee service date, employee hire date, employee positioning time, employee recent compensation change date. Any day. If you would like to extract, then you can use this calculation. Date extends. Instance value calculation is normally used for tax-related calculations, tax adjustment calculations, but most often won't use a payroll. Instance set. Comparison calculation is a very important calculation. Payroll? If you want to create eligibility for earning or deduction. If you want to create a calculation for earning or deduction. For earning or deduction, this instance is compared to calculation mandatory. Because if you are based on the location, based on the country, based on the state or based on the supervisory organization, based on the cost center, you want to process some amount. This calculation plays a key role. And then aggregate calculation. It can be used to return the sum of all time of paid of a given period to reduce salary wages. To make it simple, we may have to consolidate some or take the average and process or calculate certain values. Or minimum or maximum that we need. These aggregate we never use in payroll. Most people will use it for absence management. And the most important, logic calculation. Logic calculation. All often we will use in absence and payroll. If we have a condition or conditions, we may use logic calculation. What is and or conditions? We have a requirement where employee complete 3 years of service with the organization and employee is full-time. And employee should get paid $1,000 the one time. Here, I need two criteria. Employee years of service. I need employee time type. Also in that condition, I need and condition. Further. Any questions for on this example? I explained scenarios which are not often used for payroll. Please feel free to ask questions if you have any. I have a doubt. All these things we have taken as of the current process. Like if the process is happening currently, then these values will happen. If there is a date condition, suppose from with effective from 6 of May, there is a new rate for the average who has been worked 40 hours or 10 hours. In that, can we delimit that? That is one example. Of course, your calculation is just a shellman. How it works is payroll input. You remember, yes? I'll get just a calculation, something like this. And I will get the rate from compensation and the number of hours. If you have any house time tracking from the time tracking application. The number of hours working with employee increasing, reducing, completely depends on our time tracking system, not in the payroll agree. At the same time, the rate are 50. One employee may have $50, another employee may have $70. These details are coming from compensation. We'll get the data from compensation. We'll get the data from time tracking process here. As I mentioned, the adjustments, of course. Always payroll system is flexible for adjustments. If you want to perform or if you can give me one example, I can. I will try to give an answer clearly. Delimitations as I mentioned. Any other questions, ma'am? What I understood is that rate delimitation will happen in your compensation. Increasing or reducing should happen in the compensation. But if you ask me, hey, Kiran, for 1 week, $2,000 sign we are giving, but the employee has worked 3 days. I want to parrot it. That is also happening in compensation and payroll. Also, we can do proration rules. That will happen in the payroll. We just started calculating. I can understand faster. What I do now is, please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.